Okay, happy Friday and welcome to another Fireside Fridays. We have another AI and data special this week again. This week we're going to go live with Douglas Andrade, the principal data scientist in Verizon Connect. Last week, Francesco, and that was if anybody out there that's watching this has not seen last week's Fireside Friday, you've got to, after this video, you've got to log on and check. You can see it on YouTube or listen to it on Spotify, Amazon, on the podcasts venues. But you've got to check out Francesco's talk. So this week, again, continuing in line with our theme around the Verizon Connect launch of the brand new AI-driven Dashcam, we're going to keep that going, and we'll talk to Douglas, who is working alongside Francesco. So, Douglas, are you there? I think we have you here.
Here I am. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for coming along. I really appreciate you carving the time out of your day to join us. We're hyper excited over here in Dublin about the launch of the AI Dashcam. As you know, we spoke with Francesco last week, who gave us a very humanized masterclass explanation of what was going on with the Dashcam, what machine learning was, in mere mortal language for those of us in TA and out in the world. So it was an excellent excellent intro to what's going on with the Dashcam. But you're working with Francesco at the moment, right?
That is correct. I joined Verizon as data scientist, and I've been working with video analytics and artificial intelligence ever since. And I have to tell you, here in Florence, we're extremely happy and excited about the new Dashcam.
Yeah. So why don't you do that for me, actually? And I'm looking at that beautiful building you have in the background there, as well as your background. What building is that? Is that over in Italy or?
Yes, that is here in Florence. So that's a picture of the Duomo here in Florence. So my Italian colleagues are very proud of this landmark, and it's really a beautiful piece of art. It's really worth seeing. I can say that as a foreigner living in Italy, I can say that this is one piece of beauty that needs to be seen for whoever happens to be here.
Yeah, and that's it now with things changing with COVID. The world has really opened up now. So I know we in TA are certainly hoping to get over it and visit you all over in Florence soon. Now you've touched on something interesting there, which is the multicultural nature of Verizon Connect, right? I mean, we've got people from virtually every country across the world. You don't hail from Italy, as we know, right? I think you're coming from South America originally.
Yes, I am from Brazil. I've lived in Rio for 10 years before I moved to Italy. So
Wow.
I agree that I think the diversity and the multiple cultures that we interact with, it's not just good for personal growth, but it also is great from a professional perspective, in the sense that it's very useful to have different viewpoints, people with different ideas and new ideas looking at a problem to solve or something new to create. It's really outstanding.
So that's that diversity of thought that we purposefully seek out. There's some differences, though, right, between some of the companies or engineering practices that we have in Dublin versus Italy. So you're over in Italy at the moment, but you're within Alex Laurie's team, which is the video and data products team. And of course, we're here to talk about the Dashcam. So that's one of the many interesting differences there.
Yes, absolutely. So Alessandro's team, I think, is a great team, and we deal with computer vision and artificial intelligence. So in some ways, we have a stack that is very specialized at doing these kinds of things with, computer vision models and codes that you can't really code AI in the sense that you don't make the rules, but you more learn the rules from what happens from, so to speak, experience or the data itself, to be more technical.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think you're, if I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I mean, you're highly immersed in that, in particular from a video, a data, computer vision perspective. I mean, you are a patent holder, and you're published multiple times as well. In fact, I think you had publications just earlier this year as well, right?
Yes, that is correct. So we work a lot to understand the videos that come to the platform, and this is probably my main research topic today. And it has so many aspects if you come to think about it. So talking about, for example, dashcam videos, one thing that is very important to know is, okay, is there a vehicle in front of me? And considering the speed that I'm driving at, would I be able to stop if the vehicle ahead decided to hit the brakes, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of it. But there are many more. So, for example, research that we do, we attempt to create AI to understand the context of the scene. So, for example, is it going to be the case that a vehicle that's driving in a different lane will decide to suddenly move to our lane in a way that could be dangerous?
Mhm.
Also video that has to do with driver behavior. So how can we understand that a person is, for example, sleepy in a way that puts them in danger or puts others in danger? So I think I have to echo Francesco here. A lot of our research in video understanding applied to dash cams improves safety in ways that I'm gonna argue that we couldn't do 2 years ago, just that recently, because of how fast the technology evolves.
Okay, yeah, and we have a phrase, and it's actually part of our employee value proposition in Verizon and Verizon Connect, which is that we learn at the speed of technology. And I think of everybody I know, you're probably the one of the biggest embodiments of that ethos, and that's that continuous learning thing. Because let's be honest about it, the technology isn't going away for us. People will invent, people will
Yeah.
iterate, and things will change whether we're there to do it or not. So why not be the ones to do it on purpose, right?
Yes, of course. I think we're in a great position. We really live and breathe cutting edge technology that has to do with video understanding, um, and what we call action recognition. So if you think about it, so I've been working with computer vision for a long time now,
Yeah,
even before what we call the deep learning era with neural
yeah.
networks and all of these
Mhm.
things that we know to have good performance. I have to tell you that a lot of what I learned before, let's say 2016, I just had to wrap it up and throw it out
Really?
because of how things evolved. Um, Nowadays, we work at a level that is different from even 2 years ago. There's a lot of research that was done to understand images. For example,
Mhm, mhm.
given an image, a picture, right? Tell me
Yeah,
where is there a car in there, since we're at the topic, or tell
yeah,
me where there's an animal. Nowadays, we wanna understand the whole context. So you give me a video, I wanna tell you what's happening in this part of the video. There are two people talking here, or there's a person crossing the street here, and there's a vehicle changing lane here. So it's a very different depth of understanding, if you will, that we do today. And this is what makes me wake up, happy and motivated every day. This level of understanding that we're being able to achieve nowadays.
so here's a question for you from one of our live viewers. So Brian Cassidy has asked, I'm interested in Douglas's opinion on if we need to be cautious on how much power we give AI. Elon Musk has spoken a lot about the dangers recently. And I think what how we can tie that question into what you've just said is ultimately we're learning, or the system is learning how to process images, how to recognize things within the image. Yeah, you've given the example of what's a car. I mean, this is an image, it's color and data, but where's the car in that? And then the movement of the car. I think Francesco last week spoke about the difference between looking at the external rear view mirror, and using a mobile phone, for example. Um, what are the dangers? Because you're crafting this system, right? You're building this, and it's out there on the roads. And one thing that we are really happy about, and that we like to highlight, is that ultimately it's, we're helping drivers and fleets be safer on the road. But there is a flip side to that coin. So what are the dangers as you see them?
Well, I think artificial intelligence systems, they have become very common in our life, right? So every application that you use today, or if you upload a photo or a picture to social media, there's going to be AI, in one way or the other, processing that and generating useful information. We use, like, we're a data-driven company. Let's face it, data is our bread and butter, so to
Yeah.
speak. So we use it to analyze, to understand what we could do better, how we can save lives. Now, when we get to the question of how much power we should give to data, and then I think that goes back to what Elon Musk said, and I kind of echo his thoughts. You have to be careful when when you let the AI take decisions, looking at situations that were never presented before.
Okay.
So, for example, when you use AI,
Yeah.
to understand if you should give credit to someone, you have to be careful that the AI is not taking into consideration, for example, taking ethnicity in consideration in wrong ways, right? In the case
Yeah.
in the case of self-driving vehicles, you have to be careful. For example, if the trained model, if the examples that you have, they were never taken in a condition where there was direct sunlight, um, creating problems for the camera. This is
Yeah.
one situation where you can't let the AI have full control. You have to have a human reviewer. So, of course, there are different levels. Like, we're at different points in AI, right?
Yeah.
For some critical aspects, we wouldn't accept an AI that doesn't crash your car 90% of the times, right? Because
Mm,
10% is
yeah.
too much,
Yeah.
right? So when that's the case, you're gonna give the AI the power, so to speak, to warn you and let you know, okay, here's what I'm saying. Please take this into consideration and take a proper reaction here. Or if we go back to the bank, we want to take into consideration technical, valuable aspects, not some biased trading. There's a lot of research in there.
Yeah.
But then there are other tasks for which AI is really good. So, for example, if you happen to write digits in your correspondence, let's say that you have to ship something physical to
Yeah.
someone, there are systems that are designed to read the digits that you write for zip codes, and they have like 99.9% reliability. So there's
Mhm.
no reason not to trust them. In some cases, they're even better than people.
Okay.
So I think, in summary, I think that the performance of the AI, the criticality of the task, are what are going to drive, um, if you should let the AI just take the decision and drive everything automatically,
Yeah.
or if it's something that should be reviewed by a person before you actually take action. And then there's everything in between. in the middle, right?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I know there was well, I suppose a little bit more flamboyant now in the form of Netflix documentaries and that, but there have been a couple of cases where people have flagged very different products, very different scenarios, but where people have flagged concern about bias. Because I mean, you spoke about some serious stuff there, uh, but hard coded bias into systems driven by AI that produce certain outcomes that affect human beings in ways that it just shouldn't and shouldn't exist. So yeah, that's interesting. I can't remember the name of that documentary, but there was some sort of coded bias or something like that on Netflix. So that was an interesting one. Yeah, the low light conditions one is that strikes me particularly because I love to drive motorbikes, and the difference between driving in on a beautiful summer's day in full light conditions and driving on a winter's day on a wet road where the sun is low in the sky and you can come around a corner and be completely blinded. I can only imagine that a sensor driven system would experience issues like that as well. And what are the decisions made on the back of that and the outcomes as a result?
Right. So for that specific case, we modern cameras, they have what we call high dynamic range, or essentially compensation for when it's too dark or too bright. So this is something that we computer vision scientists have going for us. It's very unlikely that a modern camera will get blind. With
Ah,
that said, what worries us the most are situations that are so rare that they only showed up once or twice in the set of examples that exist in the data set. So, and then there's this is like an entire field of research that has to do with dealing with rare cases or cases that were not that were essentially unseen in the first place, right?
yeah,
So if you take Tesla for example, they had a problem with like a vehicle that essentially did sped against a barrier and ended
yeah,
up crashing.
yeah,
So this is one of the cases where my best estimate would be that the model didn't see that, and so the barrier probably looked to the model like road. That would be one explanation.
yeah, yeah.
So I think so. Back to your original question, what worries me the most is not the camera getting blind, but a situation that is uncommon enough that it can somewhat escape, the realm of expected situations that show up to the camera
Got it.
or
Yeah.
or to any AI system. That's not just that's not a problem that's exclusive to computer vision.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. It's funny because every assumption I have or thing that pops into my mind, there's a flip side to the coin. There's always another consideration or even a polar opposite. So that's really interesting. Let me ask you this then. So that I mean, we've asked you about what you might worry about or what dangers might be out there. What about what's cool about this dash cam that Verizon can? What's the coolest thing that the biggest impact and or the coolest thing that you enjoy about this system that you've created?
Well, I, without a doubt, the coolest thing that we have is that we're able to apply AI and give notifications when it matters. So we are past the point where we would record an event and then notify it after the fact. Now, with what we have running in the camera, we can, for example, understand the face mesh and the face position, and
Yes.
understand, for example, if a driver is drowsy or looking down to use a phone in a way that makes it harder to drive or makes the driver less attentive.
Mm.
But even beyond that, again, with the amount of data that we have, we are able to go beyond that, and not just understand where vehicles are, but also predict to some extent what behavior, what is going to be their behavior. So there's a lot of research going on, and I think it's the coolest thing. It's the possibilities,
Yes.
because if you think of it, so let's take traffic lights as an example, right? Let's say you get to a point where there's a red light and you're supposed to stop there, and you probably stop there.
Yeah.
With what we have now, with video understanding moving forward, I expect that we will be able to tell that the vehicle. So you get a notification. It's not just wait for you to run the red light, but something like, okay, here's a red light. Play attention, because you're kind of coming in too fast to be able to stop safely, right? But the challenges that come with it, they are great in the sense of understanding the semantics of the situation. And then back to your point, this is what I think it's exciting and interesting, because here's a traffic light. How do I know it's the one that's relevant for me? Because it may be the case that I can go forward. There's a green light to move forward, but I can't turn left. So how can I tell, right? And I think answering these questions, we're looking for answers like these. And I think this is the most exciting part, like the coming up with new ideas and new ways and efficient ways to solve all types of interesting problems. In the camera, they're more related to actual driving, but we work with all types of things. For example, in the realm of audio, right? If we're able to, for example, so we don't record any audio, right? But that doesn't mean we can't use it for interesting things. I'm not saying the camera, but for example, if you have a surveillance camera inside a building, right? Maybe you don't need the image to figure out that here's the sound of shattered glass. Maybe something's not right. So that's like the possibilities, not just with vision, but with AI as a whole. This is what's the most interesting thing. There's always something new to build. It's just out there waiting to be built. You know what I mean? This is what's exciting.
So that kind of goes to the core of you and your career. I mean, you're an avid researcher, and it sounds like you don't switch off either, which is amazing, because the possibilities. It's like what you said about the original products being retrospective. We're looking back at something that has happened. We want to learn from that and or defend from that, right? We have amazing cases where small to medium-sized business owners have had their livelihood protected with that retrospective view of maybe a fraudulent claim against them, for example, and they are real case studies. But being able to predict what is going to happen if you don't move or react in a certain way, being able to train and develop your workforce and ensure safety in the future as a result of it, they're big things. But the question mark, that floating question mark, what else? I love it. I mean, you're talking about processing sound within a building to understand if there's maybe an intruder coming in. Could be a building, could be a car, could be anything, right? So that's exciting. I love it. So if you're okay with it, let's take a quick look at the, I have a short video here. Let's take a quick look at the AI Dashcam, and we'll round back in a moment, and I'll click play here now.
Here it is, the new AI Dashcam from Verizon Connect. It's smarter, sleeker, and it's got 2 cameras, one for your drivers and one for the road. So you and your team can stay connected like never before. Now you can see what your driver sees and see your drivers. The camera's enhanced AI can help your team stay alert to danger outside the vehicle, like
lane departure.
And it lets you see things like harsh cornering, speeding, rolling stops, and tailgating. And whether it's a cargo van or a truck, the camera also detects danger inside the vehicle at the same time, including drowsiness, cell phone use, and other distracted driving, all in real time.
Pedestrian ahead.
And you can always stay connected from the office or on the go to provide your team with crucial feedback and reward good driving. The AI Dashcam from Verizon Connect. Eyes on the road and behind the wheel.
I love that. I have to say, I know it's from the company we work in together, but I just think it's world class. It's a fun video, of course, but you can see the real life use cases there that keep people alive on the road, whether they're drivers or whether it's our fourth stakeholder, people of the world. I think that's world class, and congratulations on an amazing product as well. You have to be proud now to see this realized and out there in the world.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's a lot of work. We're very proud of it. We are always striving to make it a better product. And I think we have something that's really powerful going on. We use AI I think we've been pushing the limits of vision, both in our servers, but also now in the device to make it work and be an amazing product that saves lives. I guess ultimately that's what we're looking for.
It's awesome. We have another question in from Rita, and Rita has asked, Douglas, how can the camera protect the driver's privacy? So that's actually an interesting question. Consider there's an in-cab driver-facing camera aspect there. What kind of privacy concerns are we looking at here when somebody's at work in their vehicle but with a camera?
Right. So to begin with, in our product, we have ways that the driver can say, okay, I don't want the camera to be working at this time, so I'm going to enable privacy mode. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Okay. But of course, the videos that are stored, they are stored in protected, encrypted servers. So we, like all of Verizon, I think privacy and security is number one concern, right? Yeah. Now, something that another aspect of it, of course, is like, how can you tell that, the videos that come from driver-facing cameras, they are being used to protect the driver's integrity and not, for example, to spy on them. So that's a question that shows up. And we take measures for that. For example, we don't want the footage to be publicly available. That never happens. And we can protect the driver's privacy, for example, by detecting that they're not driving. So we probably shouldn't be recording or sending videos at that time. So the purpose of monitoring, like I get asked a lot this question: would you like to work with one camera pointing to your face at all times? And my answer is I'd love it, because right now I think I have 10 cameras pointing at my face on my desk.
Okay.
So
brilliant. So that would be a tenfold improvement in your situation.
Exactly. That would be amazing for me. I literally have 5 cameras right now turned on pointing to my face.
That's brilliant. And is that like a test bed? Are you testing there, or what is that?
Yeah, so I use some of them to test the models that we deploy before, before we deploy them,
Yeah,
to run some sanity checks, and then I use some of the other cameras to test other things that are, let's put it like this, a little more daring and other types of models.
yeah,
And sometimes I put the two of them together to understand what having more than one camera can do. So having only one camera would be a dream to me. But like seriously, we take measures, and really the purpose of the camera is to improve safety and to be able to act. And even more importantly, I think so. One one major, one important thing in, let's say, law is you don't want to punish an innocent person, right? And the footage that comes from the driver facing camera, it will allow drivers to prove that, here, I'm doing the right thing, what happened was really not on me. I think the protection, both from, in terms of, proving that you're not guilty, and in terms of
mhm,
security, far outweigh um, the fact that you need to have a camera looking at you.
yeah. To achieve that, yeah, yeah. I think when it, on a scale or on a spectrum, when you think about it, when you zoom out from personal feelings, when you zoom out and take a look at it holistically, in the cab, outside the cab, society at general, the safety piece is the overarching element there. You're saving lives on the road. You're defending a business against potentially fraudulent claims or whatever it might be. But you're also providing or crafting a platform for education and learning and development, and that. So I think a lot of that is down to framing, how we frame or how we perceive. So usually that can be changed or adjusted over time with education, but I just think it's a world class product. I had a final interesting question came through from Keith, for you, and Keith asked, slightly tangential here, we're gone down a little bit of a different route, but it's still in line with the AI piece. And what he's wondering with is, and Keith would be very interested in developers, what Keith asked is, how do you see AI itself impacting how applications are developed over time?
So, if I'm understanding the question correctly, how can we use AI to develop AI in some sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good interpretation of that question.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and actually, there's research about that. So, I think GitHub introduced GitHub Auxiliary. I'm not sure about the name, but in essence, what this helper framework does is you tell them what you want to happen, and they come up with some code to try and do that. This is a little bit experimental, uh, but I think that having better AI helps you make better AI. I know that sounds a little redundant, but I can give an example. Um, so if you have, one thing that we have lots of is data in the wild,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
What is complicated sometimes is to get the labels for the data. So not just this is a video, period, but also this is a video of someone who's maybe tailgating, so this is a dangerous situation. But someone has to analyze it, right? If we have good AI that does that accomplishes some tasks, we can use those as proxy to build better AI for other tasks. So, in summary, I think that having AI, having good AI, speeds up the development of new cutting edge technologies that build upon them.
yeah.
So it's not just code generating code, but also previous understanding helping build an even more general understanding.
Yeah, I love it. Evolution, ultimately, evolution of understanding. That's brilliant. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. I always pose two questions to our Fireside Friday guests before we leave. The first one is to ask you, why should people come work with you, Francesco, Alex, and Verizon Connect?
Well, from a technical perspective, we're always researching and discussing and brainstorming new ideas, and we research what's state of the art. So I can assure you that from a research perspective, there's not going to be one boring day, not one.
Yeah.
Now we work hard and we research hard, but I think one of the other reasons would be that when we have fun, we're also serious about having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we work hard and we make things work and we research a lot, but we also have a lot of fun together. And
your team would be very well known for that, right? Right the way across the business, I think. And there's a challenge there for anybody else in Connect who's listening in to see which team does have the most fun, because I think you guys hold that moniker at the moment.
Well, I have to say they're very strong contenders there.
Yeah, right on. The other request I have for you, that I have for everybody at the end of our sessions, is who, and it can be from outside of your own team, but who else that is involved in the AI Dashcam product, who else should we talk to?
Right. So I gave that one. I need to give that one a thought, but like off the top of my head, there are basically two aspects of building AI, right? One of them is to get the data and create the models and understand how it works, but that's just part of it. You also have to make it work well in a scalable way, deploy it to the devices. So there's the second part is just as important, right? And so one suggestion would be that I would think that Gianni Morini would be a nice person to interview.
Great.
And then I would also suggest, if you haven't already, interview Leonardo Taccari. I think he's an amazing research. He does everything. I mean, I can't think of a research task or operational task or code maintenance, anything that's related to computer science that he can't do.
Wow, there you go, folks. Actually, that last statement answers both questions, I think. Who should we talk to? So Giovanni and Leonardo, watch out, guys. We're coming for you next. And for anybody watching who might be interested in a career in Verizon Connect, first of all, that last statement from Douglas answers it. If you want to work with the best people who there pretty much is nothing they can't do in regards to computer science, data, and AI. Real AI, by the way. You've got to come and work with this team in Verizon Connect. Douglas, thank you so much for your time. You're really generous. I really appreciate it. I'll say goodbye to you now. It's Friday afternoon. You're nearly pushing towards 2:00 now, so I hope you'll get a bite to eat and plan to unwind with the team in the afternoon. Thanks again. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Okay, folks, there you go. That is, again, in addition to our session last week where we had our first AI special, that's our second AI special with Douglas, who is a patent holder, a prolific publisher of computer vision and AI and crash detection papers. Check his LinkedIn profile out. Connect with him. Connect with the guys he mentioned, Leonardo, Giovanni. Connect with Francesco and Alex. If you want to work with the best out there, you need to come to Verizon Connect. It's pretty clear that we're not just doing AI, but we're doing real AI. And you heard it from the man himself there. The best of the best are within the business. So as always, we're going to say goodbye to you now. Happy Friday. I'll leave you with our Credo video again that tells you who we are, a little bit about how we show up and how we view the world. See you next Friday.
From where we work to where they live. From our technology to supporting theirs. From each and every one of us to each and every one of them. Everything we do affects everything they do. That's why how we work, what we believe, our values make all the difference.
We share our success with the community
to make the world in which we work better than it was yesterday.
We keep our commitments to each other and our customers.
We know teamwork enables us to serve our customers better and faster.
We focus outward on the customer, not inward.
Our actions produce measurable results.
We run to a crisis, not away.
We are committed to doing the right thing.
This is our credo. Our guide to what really matters. How we stay connected to each other and to them. We are Verizon.